just want to make sure before I close this chapter that I say everything I gotta say. Hey you guys, and welcome back to my channel. It is Shay Michelle, and we are back with another video. This is what I intend to be my last Harvard specific video. This is my 4-year synopsis, and so it's perfect timing. I'm literally in 2 days about to embark on my new graduate school journey, and so I'm just about to honestly just put it all on the table about all of my thoughts and all of my experiences and all of the cool stuff, all of the bad stuff. You know, we're just gonna get right into it because I just want to make sure before I close this chapter that I say everything I gotta say. First thing I'm gonna talk about is classes. I want to knock out the academics so we can get to the fun stuff. But basically with classes, one of the things I really loved about Harvard is the flexibility. I changed my major multiple times, and I was still able to graduate on time, pre-med, on my way to medical school with no gap years, just because I didn't want to take any gap years. And so just to be able to do all of this, you know, of course at times I had difficult schedules, but you know, everyone has a difficult schedule in college. I'm really appreciative. I think that they do an absolutely amazing balance of like figuring out course requirements, and that's only like half of like the amount of courses you're gonna take. So you just have so many rooms to knock out all those gen eds and electives and like do a secondary. Like I almost want to say just about I might be the only person in my friend group who doesn't have a secondary. Secondary is a minor. Literally everyone does a minor. I could have did a minor. I just didn't feel like filling out the paperwork, honestly. But like it's so easy to do get a minor because it's like we have so much space in our schedule. It's like, why not pursue another interest? Because at the end of the day, no one can tell me they're only interested in one thing. Like everyone's interested in so many different things. So like, I love how they give you the space to explore, you know, and just genuinely touch on every single one of those points that you are thinking of. Just to contrast this, I will say your first year, you're given an advisor. And so your advisor can be just about anyone associated with the college. My advisor was just a graduate student, and so I definitely feel like I could have had better advising. I definitely think that if I had better advising, I probably would have chose classes that would allow me to have easier schedules later on in college. But of course, everything worked out. However, you know, advising at times you can feel a little stuck, especially at the beginning. You know, once you decide your concentration, or aka your major, you get an advisor that's literally for that major, usually a professor, you know, for one of the classes. So they know what's going on. But before that, like I promise you, really rely on upperclassmen, because they're the ones that'll flat out tell you like, don't take this class, take these classes, this group, yes, no, maybe so, because they're the ones that have lived through it and they've gotten advising from other upperclassmen. So wisdom really just like passes down the generations, and so that's a really cool part too. Touching on the housing super quick, I love the housing because I don't necessarily love, you know, my actual like box of a room. I love how our roommate situation, right? Basically the dorms are all co-ed. I'm like 100% sure, 99.9% sure. Every single dorm your first year is co-ed, and then after that you can decide who you want to live with. So you can live with guys, girls, it does not matter. You can literally live with anybody you want after your first year, but your first year they usually will put you in a room with people of the same gender, and then you can like decide. However, on your floor can be other people. Like my floor, my first year was half boys, half girls. And so we had separate bathrooms. You know, I just like that like we're not like restricted, just because I feel like in the my friends at other colleges are always talking about all these like crazy rules and stuff like that. But at Harvard, it's really just a free range. And I don't know, I guess I just like the independence. And because they trust you, like we got school to do. No one's really doing nothing crazy, y'all. We got class. But I just like that I'm not restricted, because I was kind of scared about that, because it's kind of like, how do you go to college and still are treated like you're in middle school, you know, like separate this, separate that, blah, 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 blah. Like in my eyes, it's all the same as a lunchroom in high school, and whoever they want can sit at the table. Like no one cares that much. That just also helped me meet so many people. Like one of my best guy friends, like I literally met him because he was close to another guy that lived on my floor. And so I'm like, if we, you know, didn't have dorms that had like people living on like opposite floors, some of the dorms have like every other floor, guy, girl, and different things like that. But for the most part, it's pretty intermingled. But I like that because it honestly, in my opinion, helped facilitate me meeting so many more people. Now moving on to the Harvard bubble. I don't know if you guys have heard of this, but it's a term we say often on campus. But the Harvard bubble is just basically like, once we get on campus, we don't really leave. And I'm gonna be honest with y'all, I honestly did not leave campus until like my senior year, and that was because it was like COVID, so we kind of had to leave to do anything. Before that, I think my first year I left campus once or twice to go to like a party at MIT. But for the most part, you don't leave campus because I'm gonna tell you, it's honestly a one-stop shop. There's really no need to leave campus. The food is there, we can like walk to different food places. Of course limited, but you'll live. Parties, if you ask anybody in the Boston area, I promise you, they will say parties at Harvard is where it's at. Like everybody from outside, like of Cambridge and Boston and stuff, come to Harvard for parties. I will never forget, y'all. I went to the bathroom one time and some girls were asking me and my friend, they're like, oh, what school do you guys go to? We're like, Harvard. They're like, you go to Harvard? And I'm like, yeah. Like in my mind, I'm like, why are you so confused? You're on Harvard's campus. But I promise you, everyone comes to our parties, and there's so many parties that have more outsiders than Harvard people. Like literally, it's actually kind of funny when you think about it, because who would think Harvard like was the place to go for parties? But yeah, our parties are where it's at. So you don't have to leave campus for parties, barely. You don't leave for food, like I said. And other than that, what else do you need in college? All you need is food and fun. So honestly, like, yeah, people just generally don't leave. And so that's why we call it like the Harvard bubble. And I was a full-blown member of the Harvard bubble for years. So if you ask me anything about Boston, people are like, oh, do you want to stay in Boston? I'm like, I know nothing about Boston. I know about Harvard's campus, and majority of people on campus are not from Boston or Massachusetts. So I don't know if I would like Boston. I couldn't tell you a thing about Boston. Yep. Nope. Another thing I want to talk about was my freshman year specifically. Y'all, it was so much fun. I think in general, you're just so happy to be there. You're so happy to meet new people. And so my first year, I think, was exceptional. And so ever since then, it's gone down. But I promise you, my first year, there was literally a party every single weekend. Like I promise you, me and my friends were out every Friday, Saturday, and sometimes Thursdays. And I remember my second semester, I was like, you guys, I cannot go to parties on Thursdays. Like I refused. But I didn't listen to myself. Like, you know, have fun. I say live in the moment. Everything works out in the end. But literally, it was so much fun. It was parties like all weekend, every weekend. And so throughout the years, it definitely decreased. I don't know why, but ever since then, there's been less and less parties. So I feel, you know, anybody after me, I feel kind of bad for you, because my first year was a ball. And also on that note, we had Yard Fest. And so Yard Fest still happens. However, my first year we had Lil Yachty and Wale. Y'all, they don't have Lil Yachty and Wale no more. Like they literally changed the whole thing. It's like a barbecue now. But my first year, it was like a full-blown concert at night, like performance until 1 a.m. in the morning. Y'all, it was so fun. It was like parties everywhere. It was so much fun. There was even an after party. But now it's like a barbecue, and they put like chessboards in the yard. Here's another thing. I feel bad for everyone that came after me, because y'all are not living the experience I was living. I would redo my first year all the time if I could. Like anytime I could redo it, I would do it, because I had so much fun my first year, and honestly, it just went downhill after that. Now touching on like the social life, I feel like the social life, I talked about a little bit in my like downsides of Harvard, but a lot of times the relationships can seem very transactional. And so with that, a lot of times you can see in different friend groups, there's like a cycle of friendships. Like people really just rotate between groups and communities. It's just a very interesting process learning your friends. And I think that it goes along with the fact that of how the school works. Like first year, you know, of course your freshman year, everyone's just happy to be there. Everyone's friends. But then the issue is in February, we have to decide who we're gonna live with potentially for the next 3 years. Like, you know, yes, you make friends your first year, but like, you may not make your best friends. So then you're put, you know, in this situation where now you're sophomore year, you're living with this group of people. And then mind you, now you're in different classes, because also you don't really realize who are like your class friends and genuine friends until your sophomore year, because first year we're all taking the same intro classes. But then sophomore year is when you're going in this stuff. And so that's when you see like, okay, like, you know, this is my friend, but this is more of a school friend. This isn't necessarily someone I would like hang out with 24/7, go out with. And so sometimes it's that awkward medium. And so that's why it's like almost a cycle of friendships, because in actuality, you're genuinely like still kind of like figuring out who, you know, those real core friends are until, you know, that later half of college. Like, I would say for me personally, like, I definitely have like a few friends. I have one friend that's been my best friend since I got there. I have another friend that kind of started out as my best friend, then we drifted sophomore year, and like we're still cool, but like definitely not as close. And then I have some best friends now that like I knew their names first year, but like it was like a hi-bye situation. But now it's like I call these people all the time. Like we're going on trips together. So I think it's just kind of like the system of how like housing works and classes and stuff like that. And so this is probably something applicable to all colleges, but it's almost like this like cycle of just figuring out like one, who you are and who you want to surround yourself with, honestly. Kind of like a cool piece is like just random celebrities coming to the campus all the time. And then it's like we got these random awards that people come for, like Solange was just there, Rihanna was there I think my first year, Jaden Smith comes all the time to walk around. I'm just like name dropping y'all. This not sponsored or nothing, you know. Y'all are great people, love you. Draymond Green, I got videos of Draymond Green because he was at the business school talking about something. And it's cool because when you're an undergrad, you can go to anything. Like there are no like halts on nothing. I can go to anything. And then even the Kissing Booth 2 on Netflix, y'all. I need to stop giving people free promo. This is free promo. But they like filmed on campus and I low-key don't know how, because there's like a rule against filming, but that's none of my business. Another, you know, a part of my little 4-year synopsis is that one of the things I really, really loved about that school is just, it's so many resources and anything you can imagine. From, I'm sorry, I got a list, so let me just read. So from gyms to labs and research to having access to world-renowned faculty. Now, no one said they wasn't busy. They're busy, so you know, it may be hard to get through the door, but I've like been able to find that once you do get through the door, it's a very like, it's a rewarding relationship that you can form. Volunteering clubs, organizations, and a whole bunch of stuff that I don't even know about that is there. There's so many opportunities that they'll just pay to like have you travel. Like I went to Montreal, Canada for artificial intelligence conference. All my friends went to like Belize or Guatemala, something like that. It's just, y'all know Harvard's rich. We all know Harvard's rich. So they will like just pay for you to go places academically, and like you just have a ball. That's definitely a privilege of going there, just like having the opportunity to do so many things. And so that's something I definitely would not trade for anything. It's amazing. You know, you just got to make sure you take advantage of all of these opportunities. Another really cool thing about it is the fact that everyone is like grinding. Everyone is trying to be like the next big thing. Everyone has such huge goals and aspirations that like I'm sure they will all accomplish and reach. And so it's cool to be in an environment where it's like you can say your goals, and it's almost not that like what, like no one's that astonished to hear what you want to do, because everyone wants to do such big things. I think a lot of times like it's super cool to tell people your goals and stuff, but like it can get tiring and people like wow, like almost like it's an impossible thing to do type wow. And so it's cool being at a school where it's like nothing's impossible and no one thinks anything is impossible, because even in college so many people have already accomplished the impossible. To be surrounded by such like-minded individuals when it comes to this aspect of just like life, I think is probably one of my biggest takeaways. It's like helped me realize that like of all things my goals may be too small, you know, and I need to shoot even higher and bigger, and just like keep going, because I know I can accomplish everything. And so that's almost like a good affirmation that I think a lot of the people will kind of preach to you and kind of like enforce into you, and just like or reinforce into you. Anytime people ask me like how's your experience, I always finish with I would 100% do it again. You know, I think that life is all about like growing and making mistakes and just like pushing forward. It was a ball, and I think that I lived in the moment and I just had all the fun that I could have at every single moment while, you know, of course, getting my work done. It was an amazing time, and I'm excited to keep this same energy for my future endeavors. And so with that, I want to thank you guys for watching this video. You know, obviously don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Let me know any other things you want me to talk about. We have a cool chapter coming in next, and so ding ding ding, next week I will be beginning my medical school series. Please look out for that, and basically I will see you in my next video. I'm hungry. I'm like talking a little fast. I need to slow down, but I hope this is enough because I'm done.